Socio-political commentator Dwyer Astafan is putting blame squarely on leaders of political administrations between 2012 and 2022 for the failure to utilize income from the Citizenship by Investment program effectively and for processes implemented that were not in the best interest of citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. Astafan was commenting on the CBI and associated issues in his commentary release on 17 January 2024. According to Astafan, the country should have been more advanced in all social and economic sectors, and it raises questions in regards to the financial resources generated under the CBI program.
And I say with respect that those who made decisions for this country during the period under discussion made bad decisions, atrocious decisions, decisions that seemed more in tune to promoting private greed and private exploitation rather than the public interest. But it gets worse. In addition to squandering the money and not gathering as much as they should have for you, the people, they watched over the program as developers and others engage in selling citizenships below the minimum set by law in the parliament by the same governments. Our leaders watched, and we saw no signs in them of anger or outrage. No sign of intention to stop the bleeding and the illegalities, to stop the greed of the few and the deprivation of the many. The leaders watched as developers undersold and broke the law. They sat in power and presided over the breaking of the law. Just like you and me, they saw and still see the incomplete projects, all of these white elephants that are stinking up our landscape. The developers gone away with millions and tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. But we here have the pockmarked landscape. That is our share of it. The leaders saw and they still see the loss of jobs and other economic opportunity for you as a result of these abuses and atrocities. They are guilty. And to see some of you the way you idolize them, it sickens and pains the heart of a conscious person. They are the cause of the problems that we face in the CBI today and generally in the economy and society. They are, as a friend of mine would say, big stones, willful impediments to the progress and well-being of you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Astafan is asserting that citizens should care about what has taken place under the CBI program and what is occurring now, as he called for an independent investigation into the Citizenship by Investment program.
Meanwhile, the leaders of the past and all of the mismanagement and excesses in the CBI get a free pass. I am the guilty one if we lose CBI revenue. All that I've said to you during this commentary and before about the history of this atrocious situation doesn't matter. None of those things are to be blamed. And in the midst of all of that poor leadership and badness, none of them, past and even present, none of them have told the people of this country how many citizenships have been granted. What is so private about this information? And many of you seem not particularly interested in pressing the matter. If you're not interested in finding out what is your business, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be taken away from you. And that has been the case. You have a chance now to recover and set things in order so that the tail stops wagging the dog. And here we are today. After all of that money has passed and all that money has fallen into greedy and corrupt hands, here we are fighting to save the program, fighting to put our economy and infrastructure and society on a resilient, sustainable footing. All of those hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, poof! Here we are still making the claim that there are, as Eli X says, the wrong faces in the wrong places. And you're not going to solve the problem as long as wrong faces are in wrong places. In the CBI and elsewhere, I end by saying that with regard to the past, there needs to be an independent investigation into the CBI.
New legislation have been introduced to address security interests and to improve the value of the CBI program in the face of external challenges to the program. Glenn Batt reporting for SK Newsline.
Tourism Minister Marsha Henderson said efforts are being made to address the issues being encountered by customers of Inter-Caribbean Airlines. In recent times, passengers on Inter-Caribbean have encountered a series of delays and flight cancellations, which pose a major inconvenience for customers.
So I want to assure the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis that we are addressing the concerns raised. We get them. We've met so far, that is the CEO and I. We've met with the CEO of Inter-Caribbean, and we do have a meeting, I think, sometime coming up shortly to discuss, because there's some other plans as well to partner with them in terms of additional routes and all of that. We wanted to make sure that before we expand routes, that the issues that continue to raise their heads, that we address those issues head on as well.
She said Inter-Caribbean has refunded some passengers for the inconvenience.
Persons, I'm aware that persons who've been delayed, persons who've missed flights, a number of persons have actually been, they've been reimbursed. Inter-Caribbean has accommodated them in ways that they have worked for both Inter-Caribbean and for the passenger.
Meanwhile, the minister noted that plans are afoot to expand the air bridge between the rest of the Caribbean and St. Kitts and Nevis to replace the void left by LIAT when it ceases operations later this month.
What sort of discussions St. Kitts and Nevis has been having with Antigua surrounding?
I'm not at liberty at this time to say as yet.
Okay.
Any plans to grow the air bridge, though? I mean, considering that LIAT is now out of the, will be out of the circulation.
Absolutely. I still can't say right now, but we do have plans to.
LIAT is expected to cease operations on January 24th of this year. The government of Antigua and Barbuda has plans to replace the airline with a new company, LIAT 2020 Limited, but no concrete plans of a start date has been announced. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
Why do I love the cable? Well, I have the internet service at home and I never have issues with connectivity. And the way that they're always giving back to the community, that's impressive, and that's a win in my book.
Introducing St. Kitts and Nevis's newest TV channel, Television Caribbean, TVC Channel 40 on the cable's Ultra TV. TVC promises to deliver the finest in television broadcasting in St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean, with some of the best local programs in news, sports, and entertainment. Join us for Insights, where we delve into the lives of our guests.
Let me see what happens if I put this to it. Big explosion, like, okay, note to self, don't do that again.
Or get in-depth analysis on Newsline 360. We have sports, entertainment, and inspiration. It's all here on TVC Channel 40 on the cable's Ultra TV, on TelTV Cable Network in St. Martin, and on our website www.tvcplus.live. TVC Channel 40. See the difference.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
Because when I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
I love the cable because they're real. What you see is what you get. No hidden agenda, No tricks, just real honest communication.
CARICOM's Implementation Agency for Crime and Security Impacts continued a series of regional workshops on cybercrime and cybersecurity with a session held at the Koi Resort on 16th and 17th January 2024. Impacts is on a mission to sensitize member CARICOM countries about the risk of cybercrime with the objective of reducing national cybercrime risk and improving cybersecurity across the region. According to an SKNIS report, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew said cybercrime was important to the country's development and urged the country to take cybersecurity seriously. He said, quote, "Governments cannot do it alone. It needs the partnership of private companies to strengthen the cybersecurity and resilience of the critical services and technologies on which citizens depend. Therefore, we must have a collective responsibility to respond and protect our critical infrastructure." CARICOM Impacts is providing the necessary leadership for addressing cybersecurity issues. We must continue to build and strengthen cooperation in the region so that we can effectively prepare for and respond to such risks. End quote. Regional cybersecurity development is being spearheaded by Impacts with funding assistance through the 11th European Development Fund. Glenn Barth reporting for SKN Newsline.
The St. Kitts National Domino Association on Sunday elected a new executive, headed by businessman Mr. Romeo Paris. The elections took place after an award ceremony for the first federal pairs domino tournament and preceded the NAGICO-sponsored Dominorama, which all took place at the Newtown Community Center.
I intend to do them proud for the next 2 years in the association, in this position, you know. Yeah. There are some other subcommittees that will be selected as time goes by. For example, the tournament committee and fundraising committee, as well as a national selection committee. Because, you know, this thing is tight. The game is really tight. And every top player is expected to be on the team. And so for different criteria, you know, there are a number of criteria to be a part of the national team. And so it's an exciting time for Domino, for the revival of Domino. And like I said, I tend to do my best. And with good support from the executive. I have Pink Bass Promotion as my first vice president, and Mr. Tate as the second vice president. We have 2 floor members on the executive, Blanchett and Ice Pop. Everybody knows that name. And secretary has been returned. Yeah.
Mr. Paris announced major plans for the association in 2024 and beyond.
Well, first of all, we have to look for our own domino house, either by let, lease or rent, from government or otherwise. We have to have our home so that we can be respected rather than bouncing around this community center and that community center. And when you have a home, all the activities are central for fundraising purposes until, of course, we go out for village competitions and club competition. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mr. Paris was supported by Mr. Leighton Keane, Vice President of the association.
I'm looking forward to work along with him as the Vice President. And, you know, one thing I'm looking forward to, you know, I hope that we could try and get the domino into schools, you know, because when I look at it, you'd have had persons who have contributed a lot in domino, would have been recognized, gone to the world tournament level, and, you know, they get old, they're actually faded out, they're not recognized. We're looking forward to, you know, give those persons like medals and stuff like that to honor them for their contribution in the domino. Also in the schools, you know, if you look at it, you haven't seen much young persons getting involved in the domino. And we want to try to introduce it from that level so that, you know, we could have the, you know, high school student participating in domino, get it introduced in school as one of the sports, just as football, cricket and other sports. You know. It's a brain game. It helps them to exercise their brain.
Indeed.
To at least, you know, stay out of trouble. We want to also, you know, have persons coming out on Sunday evenings and the different game nights to watch it. It's a family event.
It is the hope of the association's new executive to make domino a major sport on the island while also growing the sport among a younger audience. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
Well, of the cable, well, it's reliable, the speed, quick. When I come in town, I'm going to Wi-Fi on my phone, I could just say, okay, let me send a quick text. Who Wi-Fi available? You watch the other Wi-Fi and you say, bye. This one say free, but it ain't really free. But the cable more reliable than the others, and it's more, you know, it's local, it's from the home, so it's more trustworthy.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
So the reason I love the cable, the prices are reasonable and affordable, and they give back so much to the community and the country.
At Digital Print Plus and Crafted by Design, we're thrilled to be your go-to print shop located in the heart of Bastille. From essential services like printing, copying, and laminating, to a diverse array of school supplies, arts and craft materials, and office essentials, we've got you covered. Don't fret, Digital Print Plus and Crafted by Design are here to stay and ready to be your trusted partners for all your printing and craft supply needs. Ready for a visit? Find us at the corner between Dillio and Princess Street. Just look for the vibrant pink and yellow building with white doors. We can't wait to welcome you to our creative haven.
Well, contrary to widespread speculation, Prime Minister Andrew Holness did not announce the date for the upcoming local government elections today.
Jamaicans were on the edge of their seats, expecting the pivotal announcement in the first sitting of the lower house for 2024. But as Ramon Gordon reports, the date remains elusive.
The wait continues as Prime Minister Andrew Holness did not unveil the date for the next local government elections today at the first sitting of the lower house for the new year. Speculation had been rife for weeks, fueled by increased campaign activities on the ground and visits from both the Prime Minister and the opposition leader to key party strongholds. Despite the heightened anticipation, today's parliamentary session concluded without the expected announcement from the Prime Minister. In fact, the JLP leader was notably absent. The previous elections in 2016 saw the JLP securing 146 of the 228 divisional seats, with the PNP claiming 90 seats. Both parties claim to have finalized their candidate slates, and the Electoral Commission of Jamaica is reportedly prepared for the impending contest. However, the nation now sits shrouded in uncertainty as the election date at this hour remains undisclosed. The nation now eagerly awaits the Prime Minister's announcement and the democratic spectacle expected to follow. Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
As of Tuesday, January 16th, the island had recorded 5 homicides. This has raised concerns among citizens, especially with the latest homicide of a French-Canadian citizen who was shot in Bonte Groseille, an otherwise peaceful community. Sharing his thoughts on the situation, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Tourism Dr. Ernest Hilaire has stressed the role of each citizen in dealing with the issue. According to Dr. Hilaire, the spiraling homicide rate will not be curbed without the involvement of all.
The police, nor the government, nor the church can ever solve this without the support of the community. People have to be willing to share information anonymously to deal with the problem. Nothing can be done if the community itself does not take ownership of the space that they live in, and to say, look, if something happens in my space, I will share it. And I think, like he did, I want to appeal to all St. Lucians to share information. If you don't want to share it with the police, share it with the clergy, with the church. If you don't want to share it with the church, share it with a lawyer or somebody you can trust so they can pass on the information.
Individuals from various sectors of society have expressed their opinions and thoughts on how to tackle the issue of crime on the island. Some have suggested imposing harsher penalties and punitive measures to discourage potential offenders. However, Dr. Hilaire believes that this approach alone will not effectively address the problem. He believes that a broader solution is necessary, which includes various initiatives, starting with identifying the root cause of the issue.
The government is also in consultation with other Caribbean countries to find out what they are doing, what's working for them, what's not working. We're in touch with our international partners, the US, the French, the Americans, to share with us, expertise, to share with us, practices. It is a serious issue, and we keep trying to find actions that will work. And I think, though, we have to always start off with the clear understanding that you will not solve it overnight. It will take some time for us to rein it in and to bring it in, and it would require a multifaceted approach. It cannot be just stricter measures will solve it. We have to go deep into the causation and to see how we can deal with it. And even causation is not one factor. There are a multiplicity of factors.
He indicated that the government is employing various measures towards the goal of bringing down the island's homicide rate. However, Dr. Hilaire did point out there was a need to do more.
We need to have broader engagements at the school level, at the parental level, community level. We need a lot more psychological and social support, for persons in communities. It will take a monumental effort on the part of all stakeholders for us to really start addressing this issue.
For the DBS News World, I am Zane Romulus.
Why do I love the cable? Well, I have the internet service at home and I never have issues with connectivity. And the way that they're always giving back to the community, that's impressive, and that's a win in my book.
At Digital Print Plus and Crafted by Design, we're thrilled to be your go-to print shop located in the heart of Bastille. From essential services like printing, copying, and laminating, to a diverse array of school supplies, arts and craft materials, and office essentials, we've got you covered. Don't fret, Digital Print Plus and Crafted by Design are here to stay and ready to be your trusted partners for all your printing and craft supply needs. Ready for a visit? Find us at the corner between Dillio and Princess Street. Just look for the vibrant pink and yellow building with white doors. We can't wait to welcome you to our creative haven.
Introducing St. Kitts and Nevis's newest TV channel, Television Caribbean, TVC Channel 40 on the cable's Ultra TV. TVC promises to deliver the finest in television broadcasting in St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean, with some of the best local programs in news, sports, and entertainment. Join us for Insights, where we delve into the lives of our guests.
Let me see what happens if I put this thing. Big explosion, like, okay, note to self, don't do that again.
Or get in-depth analysis on Newsline 360. We have sports, entertainment, and inspiration. It's all here on TVC Channel 40 on the cable's Ultra TV, on TelTV Cable Network in St. Martin, and on our website www.tvcplus.live. TVC Channel 40. See the difference.
So the reason I love the cable, the prices are reasonable and affordable, and they give back so much to the community and the country.
New this morning, Iran is demanding answers amid an escalating spat with Pakistan. Overnight, Pakistan launched retaliatory strikes on targets in southeastern Iran, just across their shared border. Pakistan claims it took out a number of militants, but Iran says mostly women and children were killed. This is coming just a day after Iran said it fired missiles and drones at militant strongholds inside Pakistan. Local officials say 2 children were killed there. CNN's Ivan Watson is following all of these details for us. Ivan, these really are, and this is an extraordinary moment with Pakistan and Iran launching strikes against each other. What does it mean for the region?
Well, I think it just underscores, Sarah, how volatile the Middle East and Central Asia are right now, because even 48 hours ago, you couldn't have imagined these 2 neighbors getting into this tit-for-tat, deadly cross-border missile strike situation, because the Prime Minister of Pakistan was meeting with the Foreign Minister of Iran in Davos on Tuesday. The 2 navies, they were conducting joint naval exercises at the beginning of this week. And then out of nowhere, the Iranians fire these missiles into Pakistani territory, saying they're hitting militants who've carried out attacks inside Iran in the past. And it totally shocks the Pakistani ruling establishment, which calls it basically a disruption of Pakistan's sovereignty, says at least 2 children were killed in the strikes, and there are calls for retaliation. And that's what a number of hours ago the Pakistani military basically claimed responsibility for, saying that it fired, quote, killer drones, rockets, loitering munitions, and standoff weapons into Iranian territory after targets that it claimed were ethnic Baluch separatist militants who they accuse of having operated from across this very long and porous border. So it's a messy situation. The Pakistanis seem to be leaving the door open to some kind of de-escalation right now, and the ball does appear to be in Iran's court, though Pakistan has withdrawn its ambassador from Tehran, and it has said that Iran's ambassador to the Pakistani capital is not really welcome at this time. So this really is a diplomatic crisis between these 2 neighbors who basically didn't have any beef more than 48 hours ago.
Yeah, I mean, it is extremely troubling and extremely rare. I don't know that we've seen this in our lifetimes. And thank you for clarifying that we are talking about Central Asia as well. A lot of people think that Pakistan is the Middle East. Thank you. Appreciate it, Ivan. John, this makes me really fearful of a huge conflagration.
Look, there's a lot going on here. This is the location of the Pakistani strike inside Iran, and you can see some of the aftermath right there of what took place. This is the video. This is the Pakistani strike inside Iran, and then the Iranian strike inside Pakistan was about here. With us now to discuss is retired General Peter Zwack. He is a global fellow at the Wilson Center and served as U.S. Senior Defense Attaché to the Russian Federation. Again, Pakistan is a nuclear power, General. Iran, frankly, about to be a nuclear power. An exchange of fire back and forth here. What's the U.S. interest in this?
Well, the U.S. interest in this is tremendous. Obviously, we will watch closely. Our diplomats certainly are working behind the scenes, certainly with Pakistan. Remember, Pakistan and India had a near miss, potentially nuclear-wise, in 2019. But when you look, John, at the whole aggregate of the Middle East and now Central Asia, from the Mediterranean all the way to Iran, Pakistan, Baluchistan, almost the Afghan border, and then strikes and hits in Beirut, in Damascus, in Kerman, in Iran, near the Pakistani border, and now you have Pakistan And Iran, yeah, this is really, really dangerous, not to mention Yemen and the ongoing horror in Gaza.
Well, you talked about Yemen. Let's take a look at what the U.S. continues to do. The U.S. continues to try to strike Houthi targets inside Yemen. These are just some of the locations that have been hit. 4 rounds of attacks now. The U.S. continues to say it doesn't seek a wider conflict, but 4 rounds of attacks, General, isn't it already a wider conflict?
It already is a wider, if you will, but a round of conflict. But we can see that the U.S. and the allied targeteers assisting them have been careful and measured in what they hit. They're still going in after installations. They're going after the anti-ship missile launching sites and drone locations. So it's been measured in that way. Yet the Houthis go out. They've hit a couple of container ships recently, including a U.S. flagged one. And I worry that when you have a lot of stuff flying in the air, something eventually hits. And what happens when one of those missiles hits a U.S. or coalition ship or entity or base, and people are killed in this level of tension all around that I've described in the whole Middle East and now Central Asia?
It sounds like you're saying the U.S. attacks so far have not been much of a deterrent on the Houthis.
It seems, well, the Houthis are hard, they're stubborn. They went through a tough war with the Saudis and UAE just 10 years ago and fought them to a standstill. And they're not going to relent. And it looks like they're getting encouragement from their partners. Iran could tell them to stop, and while the Houthis have their own mind, they probably would slow down. But they're not getting that guidance from Iran and other nations, bigger nations. Why doesn't Russia put pressure on Iran to put pressure on the Houthis to knock it off if they really, really believe there should be peace in the region? No, this is hard.
Yeah, it is. One possible reason for that is conflict in this region right here takes eyes off of what is happening in Ukraine up there, and Russia might be benefiting from all of this. General Peter Zwack, thank you so much for being with us.
Welcome back to ABC News Live. First, we have breaking news. The Justice Department has just released a report on its review of the Uvalde school shooting. The report says police who reported to the scene demonstrated no urgency and failed to treat it as an active shooting situation. The Justice Department also found acting Uvalde Police Chief Mariano Pargas was best positioned to take command, but didn't. Now, some families of the 19 children and 2 teachers killed in the shooting say they aren't sure the report will bring them any closer to justice. Let's bring in senior coordinating producer of the Justice and Homeland Security, Jack Date, along with ABC's Maria Villarreal, who's in Uvalde, Texas, for more. Jack, a big part of this report focuses on the failures of the 2 police chiefs on the scene that day. So what did the DOJ find there, and what else stood out to you from this report?
So the DOJ did an exhaustive review of the incident. They looked at over 14,000 pieces of evidence, did over 260 interviews, looked frame by frame over body cam video, and what they found was an absolute failure by law enforcement in their response to an active shooter at that school. Other reviews have found similar, but this is the most detailed and exhaustive review to date on the matter. And in particular, they looked at, as you stated, the police chief of the Uvalde Police Department, as well as the police chief of the Uvalde School Police Department. They failed to have command and control over the scene, and they failed to get their officers into that classroom. 77 minutes passed from when officers first arrived to when the door was breached and the shooter was neutralized. And in terms of their training, that should never happen. And it was an absolute failure. And as the Attorney General said in his statement, those families deserve better.
Maria, you spoke to some of these families after they met with Attorney General Merrick Garland last night. What are they telling you?
So our team in Uvalde has been in close contact, right, with the families since the incident, so well over a year and a half. And last night, they actually had a meeting, yes, with the team from DOJ. They did not get access to the report last night, but they did get access to the Attorney General, and they were able to speak with him for well over 2 hours. There was a lot of back and forth questions about the report because it is so detailed. And they made very clear to us that they want for the public to see the minute by minute, because at this point they haven't gotten that kind of access. And I think that there's been some questions and confusion about really and who was responsible. They're also adamant in wanting the names of all of the officers who responded, who were responsible to be out there in the public. They feel like that is part of the accountability factor here. They were given access finally to the report this morning at 8 a.m. And as far as we know right now, they are continuing to review it, most of the families that we've been in contact with.
Jack, in the aftermath of this shooting and all the criticism of the police response, Chief Arredondo took a lot of heat here, as a lot of people were blaming him for the delay on law enforcement. He had originally said he didn't consider himself the officer in charge. And now we're hearing from this report that the findings were that there was this other police chief, Chief Pargas, who should have been in charge. So what does that do for this back and forth in terms of ultimately who was to blame here?
Well, in incidents like this, police need to assign clear areas of responsibility, and they need to establish command and control. That clearly wasn't done in this case. But Chief Arredondo became the de facto on-scene commander here. But he didn't have good communications. He ditched his radio, was communicating verbally, and in the initial minutes of the incident, he directed his officers to go towards the classroom, but then they retreated. Once shots were fired, he pulled them back after officers were injured by shrapnel. And at that point, he treated it as if it were a barricade situation, not an active shooter situation. And that led to just a painful, painful delay where more shots were fired, and those children in that classroom were trapped with a gunman.
So, Jack, what happens from here? Could we see anyone charged as a result of this report?
Well, I think the families clearly want some accountability in this matter, but finding the appropriate type of charge and venue for this to hold somebody criminally accountable might be a challenge because the laws aren't really designed for that. But the Justice Department continues to examine whether that might be possible, and local authorities may do so as well.
All right, Jack Jate, Maria Villarreal, thank you both.
Flow 4G Keon Rockets experienced the tale of two seasons in 2023. Under the direction of their new coach Al Edwards, Keon dominated the first round, leading the table for most of the entire period, dispatching some major clubs including eventual champions Ramsville Superstars in the first match of the season and SL Horses St. Paul's United in a memorable encounter in St. Mary's Park in Keon. But in the second round, with a combination of injuries, suspensions and of unavailability of some of their players on national duty, Keon's progress declined. They did enough to stay in the top three and to qualify for the playoffs. But their story in the playoffs was not what many expected. They struggled and were virtually out of the running for the finals late in the postseason. Their coach offered a sobering assessment of their season.
You did good but could do better. You ever see that on your report? Something like that. Good but could do better. And then they sign in the columns. That's what I would say. Good but could do better.
It's clear Keon has some work to do for 2024, but the team from Green Valley will always be a threat to their opponents.